Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Today we'll be discussing why no one believed Harry Potter when he told the wizarding world that Voldemort had returned. Although a young 11-year-old Harry encounters a form of Voldemort in the very first installment of the series, it's not until 3 years later that he chooses to share with the magical community that Voldemort has indeed come back. The reason for this is quite logical, since the first time that Harry witnesses Voldemort during his time at Hogwarts, the Dark Lord has no human form of his own. He's this creepy shadow version of himself that feasts on unicorn blood and eventually takes up residence upon the back of poor doomed and misguided Professor Quirinus Quirrell's head. So what really would he have had to tell? That Voldemort sneaks about on the back of people's heads? I mean, I suppose he could have, but really, many people already knew, or at least suspected, that Voldemort had never died and was not truly gone. So it really wouldn't have been new information, but rather just confirmation that he was still skulking about. It wasn't until 1995, when Harry came face to face with an embodied version of Voldemort in the graveyard of Little Hangleton, that it was clear that the Dark Lord had actually returned to his previous strength and regained his power. This is, of course, when Harry decided to announce to all who would listen that Voldemort was back, to which the majority of people, at least those in power, decided not to believe. At this point, it makes one wonder that if Harry had in fact shared his multiple encounters and discoveries about Voldemort in the lead-up to his witnessing of the Dark Lord's rebirth in his 4th year at school, would more people, primarily the Minister for Magic, Cornelius Fudge, have been willing to believe him? Because I suppose to Minister Fudge and the other witches and wizards employed by the Ministry of Magic, Harry's declaration that Voldemort had returned to his former power must have seemed to have come out of bloody nowhere. But all that aside, Harry did have the backing of Professor Albus Dumbledore, who supported Harry's declaration and agreed that it was true. He even showed Minister Fudge Severus Snape's dark mark and how it had returned. Fudge's reaction to this was to recoil, which perhaps indicates the real reason that Fudge and the Ministry wouldn't accept Harry's word: fear. It's incredibly likely that the Minister Fudge simply did not want to believe that the Dark Lord had risen again, for if he had accepted it to be true, he would have been acknowledging that the Ministry was heading into another wizarding war, which he clearly was unequipped to deal with. This is supported on many occasions, including the scene in the Chamber of Secrets, when Fudge arrests Hagrid with absolutely no evidence of any kind for a crime that had been committed 50 years before. He then admits that he's simply doing so for the political optics of it all, saying that he's got to be seen as doing something in the face of the reopening of the Chamber of Secrets. Clearly, he was not the most competent of ministers, so presumably, he didn't want to side with Harry and Dumbledore, admit that Voldemort was back, and then have to do something about it. In my opinion, in the end, no one in the Ministry believed that Voldemort had returned for 2 reasons. 1, Harry didn't build a strong enough case, and 2, they simply didn't want to. And with that, we've come to the end of today's video. What did you think? Why do you think Fudge and the Ministry didn't believe Harry? Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live.